Me this morning on this Good Friday day. And it's sort of a bit of a subdued day, right? This is a day in the Christian tradition where we acknowledge Jesus's death, and it's not about resurrection yet. This is sort of the lowest point of the story. And yeah, what would I want to say about that? It was interesting this week. We had a large number just of small groups, different meetings with different groups of people. And it was really intriguing hearing how hard this week is for people. When you really let it in, it's a very sad, it's a very sad time. And I'm not somebody who preaches around sadness a whole ton, but I think it's important to acknowledge that, that when we really let this time in, there's just a lot of sadness around it. And again, it's a rhythm. It's a story that gives us a rhythm of life. It gives us a pattern of life because we all go through the same thing. Obviously, Jesus going through at a much higher level than what we ever go through in our lives, but we still go through it. And today with Jesus's death, what I wanted to talk about was this idea of what was the actual last temptation from a Christian New Church perspective, and it's pretty interesting. So, from a Christian New Church perspective, Jesus faced all the hells, over his life in this earth, and that was part of it. Was kind of facing all those challenges, all those temptations, and Bible's clear on that. It writes a lot about that, and it's interesting what the last temptation was. And it's the last temptation didn't originate from hell. Actually, the last temptation actually originated from heaven, and this is an interesting one. So just let this sink in for a minute. I think as soon as I say it, you'll go, oh yeah, I get that. The last temptation from our particular Christian denomination was a temptation, that originated actually out of heaven, and it was a temptation around hopelessness. A temptation that this situation was totally hopeless. Good Friday, and that there was nothing to be done. That humanity was beyond reclamation. That people were in such a bad way that there was nothing to be done. And when you look at the story, actually, there's every reason to believe that. There was every shred, every possible scintilla of evidence points to hopelessness, that they don't get it, they're missing it, they're cruel, they're vengeful, they're forgetful, all these wonderful things happening, even though some of them have seen, Jesus perform miracles, et cetera, none of that mattered in the end. Jesus is left there on the cross with what appears to be three people. That was his whole tribe had been reduced to three. So that hopelessness, that isn't that interesting, right? So just I imagine some of you watching this today are battling with hopelessness. And I would think we probably all have one or two areas in our life where that's true. And for some, it's more pervasive. And just hold for a second that a bit of that last temptation is that very hopelessness. That's really interesting to me. And so that's where I want to like set up our reading for today. And this is Friday night. After this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Jesus, but secretly for fear of the Jews. So in other words, he was one of the clergy similar to Nicodemus, which we'll just hear about, who kind of got Jesus's message, even though they were clergy within the Jewish faith. Asked Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus, and Pilate gave him permission. So he came and took the body of Jesus, and Nicodemus, who first came to Jesus by night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pounds. Then they took the body of Jesus, bound it in strips of linen with the spices, as is the customs of the Jews to bury. Now, in the place where he was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which no one had yet been laid. So there they laid Jesus because the Jews' preparation day for the tomb was nearby. It's a beautiful idea of Jesus being buried in a garden, in a new tomb in a garden, and I think that's very deliberate, right? It's a very deliberate choice of words, and very deliberate part of the plot of the story. So within that hopelessness, and Jesus actually facing that hopelessness, like again, not giving in to hopelessness, we start to see the story slowly turning here. Now, isn't it interesting? Again, like Jesus is buried and he's buried in a garden. I mean, the metaphor there is obvious, right? That something is going to grow out of this tragic event. And it is interesting out of hopelessness that things can grow. This is going to be our Sunday theme, and I'm still working on it some. But the Sunday theme for the Easter Sunday service is going to come down to this. It's going to come down to take a step in the dark. Take a step in the dark. We see that again and again where people start taking these steps in the dark. We see Mary taking a step in the dark when she sets out for the tomb. We see the disciples taking a step in the dark when they go to see the tomb as well. We see Joseph of Arimathea here taking a step out there into the dark to bury Jesus. All those little pieces, folks, like that's the battle of around hopelessness. And again, I'm going to flesh this out some more on Sunday, but the idea that when we are faced with hopelessness, it's so easy to completely contract and shut down, and understandably so. And for some people, I would say maybe that's even where they'll just be for a while. We don't need to sort of push them out of it. And at the same time, when we can, if we can, where we can, we need to be willing as well to take a step in the dark, to take a step in the dark, because that's what starts to move away from hopelessness. And it's not moving away from it like in a yippee skippy, like live your best life now way, which I have immense allergic reactions to. That's not it at all. It's understanding the sadness, the gravitas, the challenge, the death, the despair that is so much part of our lives. And at the same time, going, yep, and hopelessness is not going to win. Hopelessness is there, and it's not going to win. What's going to win is the fact that we will all be taking a step forward in the dark, however that looks. And oftentimes those ways are small, almost imperceptible. But boy, did they make a big difference out there into the world. So what's that for you, friends? What is that small step you can take today in the dark? And it's just something to think about, and let that sort of resonate for you this whole Easter weekend. And think about joining us on Sunday. We're gonna, again, we'll flesh this out some more, and look at ways that people really do take a step in the dark, and leave us all with a charge to do that as we move forward into spring, into time of new growth, and a time of change. It's not a time of change that makes light of all the challenges of life. It's a time of change that actually incorporates all the challenges of life. So that's the thought for today, dear friends. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we'll hop on to social media and say hi to folks. So with that, friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, my dear friends. And again, a quick reminder tonight that we will have a special communion service. You are welcome if you're in the Philadelphia area. You're welcome to come to it live, and you're welcome to come to it online. Most people will be joining online, obviously, because most people are not in this area. And regardless, you are more than welcome to join us. It'll be a very sweet service. We'll be doing it right here in my office up on the third floor. And yeah, and if you want to join us online, feel free to, and you can just shoot me a note with an email address, and I'll send you something back with the link for tonight. Linda writes, good morning, wonderful evening. Yeah, Linda, that sure was fun. So Linda has a crew. It's essentially a small group, and we get together once a month for dinner, and that was last night, which was very, very sweet. Martha, good morning to you, my friend. Great to see you joining us. And you're thinking that's Ray there. Ray, great to have you joining us too, buddy. Always great to see you. Patricia, great to see you joining us with that little heart there. Marilee writes, good Friday morning. Wishing you all a beautiful Easter. Yeah, Betty, and what Betty writes, hey, Betty, I think it's so true. And it kind of been a hard week that way to sort of see some of the places what you're talking about, which is really true. Betty writes, sounds like today's world. I totally agree with that, Betty. We need Jesus now like then and to help restore love, kindness. See you later, my friend. Yeah, and it really is like how do we sort of reestablish that and just understand that hopelessness really is like this last temptation. And Deneen, love what you wrote there. You always bring it together. Well, thank you for that, Deneen. This is inspiring. Well, Deneen, I want to say you're somebody who consistently, a lot of people on this, and you're somebody who consistently seems to be able to really take some beautiful steps away from hopelessness and really hard situations. So thank you for that. Marcus writes, good morning and good Friday. Thanks, Marcus. That's beautiful. Katie, another amazing message. Well, Katie, looking forward to seeing you tonight. And yeah, maybe we can even chat about it a little bit tonight. Linda writes, deep thought and support on this challenging day. Very true. Kim is watching, and Kim, by the way, just sent a special note asking if we could keep her husband in our prayers. So Kim, we will definitely do that. Sherry writes, thank you for this message. You are welcome. You're very welcome. And I had a great time with that son of yours yesterday playing racquetball. Oh, and Kim, here you put it in yourself. So glad you did. Good morning, everyone. Please keep my husband Mark and his surgeon in your prayers. We definitely will, Kim. We will definitely keep him in my prayers and say a prayer for him literally right after this. All right, folks. And again, hope you can join us tonight. Anything we can do, please feel free to reach out and call either with an email, text message, phone call. And if you would like to join us tonight, love to have you. You're more than welcome to join us in our office for communion, or to join us online. It'll be 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, friends, God bless, and yeah, we'll chat with you, either tonight if you're coming to that, or on Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.